Lattafa makes some of the best affordable fragrances on the planet, but they've also made some that aren't so great. So today, I'm ranking every Lattafa fragrance in my collection from sensational to dog water. And look, if I drop your favorite fragrance into trash tier, then remember, it's like Master P. It ain't my fault. But anyway, stick around because one of these might be your new favorite fragrance find of the year. First up is Khamrah, and this one is known to be a crowd pleaser. It's a warm, sweet, cozy fragrance with big projections, so you can go easy on the sprays. It's a flagship fragrance from the brand, and as a spicy, gourmand, and semi-boozy fragrance, this one is known to be date night approved. It's great for the colder seasons or nights out, but the score tells the story. It's very good, but not elite, B tier. Next up is a fragrance that's built a fan base of its own. And of course, we're talking about Khamrah Kawa. And it's a twist of the original, but it pulls in some coffee, more cinnamon, and this deeper gourmand aroma. It almost smells like this sweet spice espresso on a cool evening. If you're hunting for a cozy, comforting fragrance with serious projection, then Kawa hits. Final rating? B tier. Next up, we got Lattafa's Khamrah Dakan, and this one adds a darker side to the Khamrah family. Now, this one takes that Khamrah DNA and adds a smokier side, but it still maintains those warm spices. There's a touch of praline and this quiet sweetness underneath that really just balances it all out. As it dries down, it settles into something richer and more inviting, almost like this warm air just drifting off this burnt wood and spice. This is a fragrance for the distinguished gentleman, but for those on a budget. Yet it still tells a story. That said, if you like a fragrance with personality and depth, then Dakan shows up exactly how it should on your skin. This one is also B tier. Now, before you jump into my comments about these ratings, just know I'm keeping this list as fair as possible. Every fragrance is getting judged by its Fragrantica rating. Whatever it scores out of 5, I'm just converting into a straight out percentage. No guessing, no hidden favorites, no bias, just a little math. And honestly, even a few of these shocked me. So now that we wrapped up the Khamrah line, it's time to shift across the rest of the house. This is Lattafa Assad Zanzibar. And Zanzibar tries to take that Assad DNA, add this tropical sweetness, florals, plus a few creamy notes, but the execution just feels a little off. Many have reported finding this fragrance to feel synthetic and unbalanced, even saying that the florals, as well as that sweetness, tend to just clash in the mid. Now to me, I don't find this fragrance to be unwearable, but the community scores kind of put this one in the pass category. Final rating? Straight dog water. D tier. Now moving on to another flanker of the original Assad, we got Assad Bourbon, and this one leans a bit sweeter than the original. Now with this one, you get more warmth, more vanilla, and a more well-rounded fragrance than Zanzibar that just kind of feels balanced. This fragrance is regarded to be rich, deeper, and indulgent. But on the flip side, it's a little more polished than the original. And as you might expect with that said, this fragrance gets a lot of love, but just not enough to be A tier. This one has strong value for your money, strong presence, and it's uber great for nights out. So this one is B tier. All right, so now we're circling back to a fragrance that really started it all with this Assad lineup, and this one's Lattafa's Assad. Now, this one does open a little sharp with black pepper and pineapple, and it has this brightness about it before really settling down into this amber core. The dry down is smooth and slightly smoky, and personally, I find this one to be good for the office or an evening wear. Now, of course, with being modeled after Dior Sauvage Elixir, this one is really a good performer, even more so when you consider the price point. And over the years, this fragrance has really earned its place as one of those go-to fragrances from the Lattafa lineup. Now, looking at reviews, the community clearly respects this fragrance, but just not enough to push it to elite category, and for that reason, it's B tier. Now, we just finished the Assad collection, and now we're moving into the Confidential line. And really, to me, the name on these feel fitting because they aren't talked about a ton. First up, we have Lattafa's Confidential Platinum. It opens with this bright citrus aromatic right before it moves into this salty, woody, incense leaning dry down. Now, don't get me wrong, it's fresh, it's clean, and it's office friendly. But the community finds this one to be safe rather than memorable. If you want a simple daily wear fragrance, this one would work. But if you want a fragrance with personality, then you gotta look elsewhere. At a 3.9 rating out of 5 stars, this one is C tier. Now this is confidential private gold, and you might assume that platinum is better than gold. Well, in most cases it is, but not here. Now this is this fruity powerhouse fragrance. It's passion fruit, it's peach, it's pear, and a little raspberry overlaid with vanilla, musk, and woods. Now comparatively speaking, this one is louder. It's juicy, it's sweet, it's also surprisingly long lasting, collectively making this one of Lattafa's more playful fragrances. But even with strong performance, the sweetness in this fragrance won't be for everyone, which again keeps it in solid but not elite category. Marginally better than the last fragrance, 4.04 out of 5, but B tier nonetheless. Oh, by the way, if you're watching this during Black Friday weekend, I need you to lean in a little, because what I'm about to tell you can save you a lot of money and maybe convince you to buy 1 or 2 more bottles than you planned on. FragranceBuy.ca and FragFlex.com just dropped their Black Friday deal, and it's not one of those weak 5% off deals. These are the real deals, like Evander Holyfield. They're running a buy one, get one 25% off the entire website. Just use the code BF25. And if you're eyeing anything from their Arabic collection, which is why you're here, then you can get some extra money on off. I'm talking actual stackable savings. No hoops, no tricks, just use the code extra deal. It gives you a clean extra $5 off any order over $99. So once you hit the $99 threshold, you're saving in every direction. Oh, and speaking of $99, they're doing free shipping for any orders over $99. So for the US, Canada, UK, and Europe, all of you are included. But this next part might make a few of you begin to speed checkout, because the first 4,000 orders split between both stores will get a free mystery gift and a niche sample. And those get added to your order once you spend $10. So if you ever wanted anything fragrance related, this is the week to stock up. Links are down below. Again, use code BF25 and extra dose to see your cart move to the maximum savings. Moving on, we're going to Lattafa's Pride collection, because these make Lattafa a little more prideful. First up, we got Lattafa's Art of Nature 1. This one is Camel. Now, I really like this fragrance, and Camel is rich. It's a multi-dimensional scent that features plum, blackcurrant, and fig, really wrapped around this rose and oud, and even a little leather. Now, in terms of the depth on this fragrance, it's kind of niche style. And of course it would be, because it's mirrored after Mason Crivelli's Oud Maracuja. And if you're not familiar with that fragrance, this one really is close. It's dark, fruity, and textured leather. But then it really settles down into this smooth and warm base. Now, don't get it twisted. This one comes off as this bold, in-your-face scent. But because it kind of leans oudy, it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Unfortunately, that's what drops this fragrance just outside of B tier into C category. But to me, it's a standout scent. The next fragrance in the Pride collection we're discussing is Lattafa's Ishq al-Sujud. I can't pronounce it. Now, this one comes off as this warm, sweet, citrusy scent, but it also feels a bit musky and woody. Now, I just want to put this out there. This is supposed to be their take on 1 Million Lucky. I find that it has hints of it, but I don't find it to be a one-to-one. However, compared to some of the other fragrances we've talked about, this one comes off as wearable and modern and really easy to enjoy and understand. That said, those things kind of add this extra value to what this fragrance is worth, and because of that, the community seemed to respond. Currently, this one ranks a 4.50 out of 5, which makes this one A tier. Moving on, we got Lattafa's Art of Wood, and I find the name to be a little bit misleading because despite the wood in the name, there's more grapefruit here, but it also, to be fair, feels like that grapefruit and wood are really married. On first spray, you get a bit of woods and more of that bright citrus pulled through. Now, despite the bright elements to this fragrance, there's this natural warmth that comes along with it, but also a slightly spicy and more subtle toned down woody base. It's nothing loud here, nothing flashy, nothing too in your face. It's just smooth, easy to wear, easy to enjoy, and might I say, well done. But despite what I say, the community decided to speak on its own, and this one gets a B tier. Now, I picked this fragrance up just a couple of months ago, and this one is Lattafa's Art of Universe, and I'm super happy I did. Now, it starts with this sweet, fruity top in the scent, but then it kind of quickly fades. And then it turns into something a little bit more candy-like, also smells synthetic. Now, the mid here has florals and citrus, but it also has this respectable sweetness to it. It doesn't really feel overpowering and doesn't stop this one from being a nice spring and summer scent. I find it to be kind of playful. It's not refined, but again, despite how I feel about this fragrance, the rating is the rating, and as Yo Gotti says, numbers don't lie. I mean, it's also fragrantica, so maybe it does. C tier. Moving on, we got another Art of Nature scent, and this one is Art of Nature 2, and this one is another Parfum de Marly recreation. But let me tell you, this one is fire. Now, when I think about this fragrance, I really think about spicy vanilla, a little musk laid on top. That said, I also don't find this fragrance to be too serious. It feels like something that could be worn on Close Encounters, maybe even worn to the office. And with a 4.63 out of 5, it's also Fragrantica verified. Feel like it deserves like a blue check or something. Anyway, this so far has been our closest to an S tier, but not there yet, an A tier. The deeper we get into this list, the worse I feel. This one is Brioche Vanille, and this fragrance does not get love. Now, Brioche Vanille is exactly what it sounds like. It's a warm, buttery vanilla scent with this bake shop feel. Now, of course, it's a gourmand scent, so it's creamy and cozy and almost edible. But I know a lot of you out there aren't dealing with carbs, so you might want to kind of shy away from this one. Now, despite that, I don't find this fragrance to feel overwhelming. I do think it smells different, which for me is a good thing. However, it's said that most people don't find this one to be very versatile and don't know exactly when they would wear it. Because of that, it's earned itself a 3.4 out of 5. You know it, straight dog water. D tier. But I don't think it's that bad. Now, if you know anything about me and fragrances I like, then you may know how I feel about this fragrance, but only if you know what it is. This is Lattafa's Art of Arabia 3, not to be confused with 1 or 2. This is 3. It offers this rich blend of spices and woods and musk. It feels adult, grown up, and dare I say polished. Not quite as polished as a fragrance that this one is trying to reinterpret. This is the take of Clive Christian's Blonde Amber, and although they are not neck and neck, I do feel if you don't have the, let's call it $600 to spend on Clive Christian, this is an excellent alternative. I mean, people clearly find this fragrance to be quite impressive, and they also feel it has great versatility. And for those reasons, it's earned itself a solid D tier. Now, so far we've dropped a few D tiers and a few surprise A tiers. But which one would you wear so far? I'm interested to find out because some of Lattafa's biggest cult followings are still to come. Moving on, I want to talk about Lattafa's Ragba Ferment. This one really takes that lemon verbena, some citrus, violet leaf, and a little bit of smooth sandalwood and tries to make something. What does it attempt to make? Of course, those notes would lead you to believe Creed's Green Irish Tree. Now, to me, this one still does carry that masculine presence and aura, but it's also something that is fresh and lightly powdery. Yet, it still feels warm and pleasant. Very wearable, very nostalgic, just not very high on the list. 3.9, C tier. Moving on, we got Mash Rabia, and it's a scent that I call the angel scent. Not saying that this one is Angel Share, but it has a rating of 444, which converts over on the scale to 888. What? It's 88.8%. Now, I found this fragrance interesting because it's said to really dive into the world of Killian with a recreation of Smoking Hot. And let me tell you, this fragrance smells good. Now, it's not an exact copy of Smoking Hot. This one is a little sweeter, a little less smoky, but I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. Now, in addition to that apple shisha sweetness, you begin to get some tobacco, cinnamon, and caramel. And it also feels like a fragrance that you can spray and really just transform the environment into something different, like a hookah lounge. All things considered, actually, nothing considered except for the score. This one is B tier. All right, look, we are stacking up a ton of B tiers here, but have no fear because there's still some A tiers here, and maybe an S. Moving on, we got Lattafa's Sheriff, and let me tell you, this is a recreation of a Parfum de Marly fragrance that is really difficult to go wrong with. Now, when I look at this fragrance, I feel all types of things. At the top here, it's almost like a sheriff's badge, and one side it looks like monster demon head. Looks like some bucks that you would find on the Maison Alhambra fragrances. But enough about the history lesson. Let's talk about the scent. Green bottle, recreation, Parfum de Marly. You know where we're heading. Of course, we're talking Greenly, and this is good. Look, on first spray here, you're gonna get that crisp green apple smell. Very similar to what you would find in Greenly. And before it begins to settle in, there's also this wood that comes about. Now, what I will say with this one is that it might be a little bit too much apple for some. It's fresh, it's mature, and it kind of carries this barbershop-esque feel. Nonetheless, it's a dependable fragrance, so it's one that people would come back for, and for its price point, you really can't go wrong. That said, it's solidified its space with a B tier. Now, this fragrance name is similar, yet it's different, and this one is Lattafa's Sheaf. Now, I remember picking this one up, and I looked at the bottle and I said, what? It looks kind of magical, like it should be a part of some, I don't know, like a Asian temple somewhere. Now, it could be the packaging, it could be the smell, but people on Fragrantica didn't really give this one the highest accolades, and it's likely the scent. Now, this fragrance is attempting to recreate Tom Ford's vanilla sect. So maybe it's not a Lattafa problem, but fragrance they were recreating problem. Personally, I find this fragrance to be a little flat, but hey, it might float your boat. That said, it's not an unwearable fragrance. It's not grotesque or disgusting, but what it is average. It's a C tier at 3.88. Moving on, we got a fragrance that has a really interesting bottle. It looks like this potion, like it should be there and magical, and I should be able to spray it and turn water into wine. But you can't, trust me, I've tried. Now, to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of Heibic, in at least at the time that I've had it, but the community feels different. It's spicy, it's woody, it has this aromatic heart. And what it does do well, however, is create like a good masculine profile. It's warm, it's sweet. I would say, objectively speaking, it's well balanced. But again, everything's not for everyone. So for one man's trash, it could be another man's treasure or sleeper pick. And if you feel that way for yourself, you may not be the only one because it's still rated in B tier. Moving on, we got Lattafa's Hayati, and this fragrance is extremely popular. Hayati brings apple, cinnamon, bergamot, and this musky vanilla base into an everyday wear scent. It's super simple, friendly, easy to wear, and it just feels like something a champion should be rocking. Now look, there's a ton of fragrances on the market with this scent profile, which happens to be that of Invictus. Still a good scent. The community rates this one a B tier, so it is what it is. Now we have more than half the list done, and I didn't realize I had this many Lattafa scents, especially not counting the Maison Alhambras. At any rate, this one is Lattafa's Velvet Oud. Velvet Oud opens up bold and a little dark, but not anything you need a flashlight for. It's leathery, it's a little smoky, a little resinous, but it also got some bang for the buck. Pow, pow, pow. Now, this one does lean a little heavier than some of the fragrances we've talked about, but it still has this crispness to it. And it still settles into something really smooth. There's this woody play on this fragrance that begins to pop over time. And in my opinion, if you like leather-like scents, then this is a fragrance that you might really enjoy. However, it did not surpass the B tier category. Moving on, we got Qaid Al Fursan, and this one has this really decent pineapple note. Now, compared to fragrances like Aventus, this one feels a little bit more resinous. And the pineapple in here smells really sweet. It's like the one in a bowl that is right there. You get it, you're like, oh, that's good. And it's like extra sweet. My mouth's watering right now just thinking about it. I mean, really, this is one of those fragrances that you just put on when you just need a scent to deliver. Something about this fragrance, although bright, feels personal and intimate. And it smells like something that your lady will respect you for wearing. And a couple fellas might envy you and wonder what you got on. Despite all that goodness, this one's still B tier. When I think about this one, I always think about the Tree of Life, and this one is Lattafa's Eternal Oud. Now, what I do appreciate about this is that through the presentation here, it kind of just pulled through what you would expect here with the wood on top. Eternal Oud brings some fruity notes, a little heliotrope. There's also some orchid and some warm resins. Now, this fragrance is attempting to recreate MFK's Grand Soir, and it does a decent job of being within that same realm. It's sweet, it's slightly powdery, it's comforting. And when you smell this, you just know you're prepared to really do well in the colder weather. I think I've said this before in the past, but there's something about this scent that in the background just has something that smells a little Fruit Loopy. And it seems like a lot of you do too. It's a beautiful winter scent, and with that, it's still a B tier. Now, this is Lattafa's Amir Al Oud Intense, and this fragrance is not what you might think it is with a name like Oud in it twice. It's a smoky, sweet, and woody fragrance that is probably more likened to By the Fireplace than anything. Now, I've said this before, I don't find this one to be a 1-to-1, but I think it is close. Maybe not close enough, but it is close. And that's with me being a real By the Fireplace snob. Now, for most people, this one's gonna kind of check all the boxes. It's rich, it's smooth, it's unique, and it also has this slightly toasted feel that if you're a fan of sweet scents, you're gonna like. And I think it might be safe enough to say that this is a certified Lattafa classic. But even as a Lattafa classic, it's still B tier. Moving on, we got Lattafa's Vintage Radio. And when I think about this fragrance, it kind of reminds me of like this upscale baby powder. I've recently been wearing that more and more. I just took it with me on a trip down to Florida, gave it a couple of wearings, and did phenomenal with it. And this fragrance is one that you can really have a really nice time with. Now, despite that baby powder expensive feel here, there's also a bit of plum, lavender, sage, and some extra woods in the base to give it a little bit more depth and oomph and staying power. Now, to me, something about this fragrance really deserved an extra kick, but it didn't get it. This fragrance is a 4.32 out of 5, which makes it yet again B tier. This is Lattafa's Fucker Black, and this one really feels like YSL. If you like that potent, metallic-y, in-your-face feel that you get with YSL, then this fragrance really has that embedded. Now, that said, the value for this fragrance is really high because it's not priced a lot, but it also has really good performance. Now, this scent profile is one that's a little weird because I really found that it's kind of prime for the spring and summer, but I wouldn't be off-put by wearing this one in the fall or winter. In fact, you might get an extra brownie point or two and even more compliments from women when you're rocking it during that type of environment. But nonetheless, this one has a solid 4.25 out of 5 rating, which gives it, again, a B tier. Now, what do you get when you take Fucker Black and really just go all out and elixir it? You would think you go from YSL YEDT to YEDP, but that's not the case at all. This elixir version is totally different. This one is sweeter, a bit thicker, and suited for just a totally different environment. Now, that said, although it's different, people still found real value in this scent. Even more so that the rating is higher than the original. And according to Fragrantica, the original is really Rabanne's 1 million parfum. Now, it's not way higher, but 10 basis points is 10 basis points no matter what day of week it is. However, at a 4.25, it's not enough to take it to A tier, so B tier it is. Next, I want to get into a scent that also is recreating a fragrance from the house of Creed. Now, when these companies are recreating fragrances, there's a few brands that you gotta go to if you want to get the people. Louis Vuitton, Creed, Initio, maybe even Mind Games these days, Parfum de Marly for sure. And you can even throw MFK in there. But this one is a part of one of the ones I told you about. Now, I also am a huge fan of the one that this fragrance is recreating, so personally, I'm a little more harsh. Let me not play guessing games. The fragrance that I'm talking about is Creed's Silver Mountain Water, and I don't find this one to be super close, but I guess it does give off a similar-ish vibe. The fragrance that this one is recreating actually comes from Parfum de Marly, and this one happens to be Sedley. Now, Sedley plays on the note of mint really, really well. And within this fragrance, you kind of get this there too. It's mint, it's lime, but that Sedley is just next level. This is like Sedley's little brother. It's clean and breezy, but it also comes off as a little sharp. But that being said, it still does work for what it costs. It's decent, but not totally a standout, and we've heard this before, it's B tier. Now, I remember picking this next one up, which is Lattafa's Badi Al Oud Sublime. Now, from what I always gathered about this fragrance is that it kind of reminds me of a K. Ali fragrance, and I believe it's called like Eden or Juicy Eden. Really plays on the note of apple. And this one really plays into a lot of the things that I liked about that scent. It's fruity, it's rosy, it's a vanilla / mossy feel. It's bright, it's uplifting, it's fun, and it's also kind of different. Now, if you got enough Lattafa fragrances in your collection, then you could really go all out with this one and just spray a ton on during those spring and summer months. But this one might be better suited for your boo thing. I'm just a messenger, but the community also rated this one a B tier. Now, I picked this fragrance up not too long ago, so I just had a little bit of time with this scent, and so far, it's been really, really nice. Now, this is a recreation of Jean-Paul Gaultier's Le Beau Paradise Garden, and this one is called Lattafa's Najdia Intense. As you might expect, this one has a tropical feel. It's sweet, it's woody, it's super fun, it's energetic, and this is one of these fragrances that just works, just like the original does. Now, there's also this coconut and ginger within this fragrance that really come off in a way that smells good. It doesn't come off as off-putting or like a coconut oil. It's just there within this fragrance and doesn't really take away from what the overall composition is really all about. Again, energetic, beat and uplifting, good for the high heat. So if you're looking for something different in your collection, you can't quite edge out Paradise Garden within your budget, this one could work. 4.35 out of 5. B tier. And then I want to bring it back to a fragrance that was very interesting to me when I picked this one up, and this one is Lattafa's Pisa. It looks like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. This is yet again another clean citrusy scent with a bit of woods, and it's a fragrance that just feels breezy and airy and good. Simple, it's refreshing, and it's also incredibly easy to wear. Now, with that said, you might just easily think that this fragrance would be like an A or an S tier, but it's not. I think this is a fragrance that's easy to wear into the office. Like, you could just get away with it. You can spray and go. And I don't think anyone would care. And I think that's the problem. It doesn't evoke enough emotion to make people react and feel something. And for that, people just think it's regular, which I can respect. This one's earned a 4.38 out of 5, which again makes this one a B tier. So here's the deal. Out of 30 plus Lattafa fragrances, there's only 3 that have been rated A tier and none have been S. So if you were looking for a place to start to build your Lattafa collection, you might want to start here. We've got Lattafa Vintage Radio, Lattafa's Art of Nature 2, and Lattafa's Silver. I don't know what it said, so I have to do it that way. But these are the 3 scents. Now, if you are interested in these fragrances or any other fragrances from Lattafa or many of your other favorite fragrance brands, then be sure to holler at my friends over at FragranceBuy.ca and Frag Flex, because they're putting Black Friday in a chokehold. Don't forget to click here because I'm ranking every most complimented fragrance ever.